Legends of a mighty Bigfoot have made man's blood run cold for centuries. Some terrific and some terrifying. The southern Appalachian Mountains whisper the mysteries of this strange and powerful creature through its smoky hills and ominous embrace. This is Brandon Thomas with Expanding Reality, elated to announce our very first Expanding Reality Excursions Befriending Bigfoot event. This is going to take place on a beautiful 27-acre ranch in Blairsville, Georgia, May 15th through the 20th. This intimate conference is going to feature Bigfoot adventure hikes in 3 different states, river kayaking, nightly presentations from such incredible presenters as Alexander Petikoff, Chris Matthew, Dave Zed, Preston Dennett, and many more. Also, we're going to be doing some UFO watching, some jam sessions, all kinds of hangouts. Visit expandingrealitypodcast.com/events for more information. That's expandingrealitypodcast.com/events. We'll see you there.
Welcome to Blue Collar Mystics, the under-the-hood approach to the depths of human consciousness. So many mysteries, so little time, so many big words. That's why we aim to take the mystical and make it practical, usable in your everyday life. And you know, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your story. What happened when you started asking yourself the real questions? Like, who am I? What is this? Is it a hologram? Is this some kind of weird cosmic joke? Hey, these are the questions that we are trying to get to the bottom of as we explore the final rabbit hole together here as Blue Collar Mystics. What's up, everybody? Welcome from the space of variations to the material, inert, dust-settled reality of your living room or car or junkyard or dungeon. Wherever you're coming from, welcome to the show.
Mom's basement.
Mom's basement. Yeah, I probably got a lot of those. Like attracts like, you know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
So for sure. Welcome, everybody. We have a special series where we're breaking down this book called Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zealand. I'm joined by the one and only, the fabulous Abby Johnson, aka Abstract One. This is a fun book and also a challenging one. It's very long and lengthy, but for she and I both, it's been very insightful and helpful into our lives. So that's why we have been breaking it down. I wrote a summary about it. Link to that is on my website, bootsygreenwood.com. Please give that a peep. It'll shortcut you about 25 hours if you want to just get an idea of what the book's about. I do recommend reading the whole book, though. It's fucking phenomenal.
Absolutely.
So good. And and the continuing stuff as well. A lot of this stuff that we'll be talking about is not terribly unfamiliar. In fact, it's probably just lost or been reinterpreted many times in different ways through the New Thought movement, New Age movement. And then, you know, there's definitely some nuances and insights that are kind of particular to reality transurfing. It's a little bit of a shift. So
if you're religious, it doesn't really like contradict religion. It almost seems woo-woo at first, but then you realize it's just science and it's just natural law. It's in a good package. It's packaged well.
It's a really good model, and it's complementary too, as opposed to you're going to learn this model and then swear everything off. Honestly, before I got into reality transurfing, I was like about to buy a cape and an altar box and a wand. I was going head on into Hermeticism, which I still think is extremely valuable and awesome. That is the sort of Western esoteric tradition. And but I found transurfing and I realized, oh, I don't have to do all of this pageantry.
Yeah.
You know, it's not actually necessary to do all of this. Or if I'd like to, I can define it in my own way. And that's really what, a lot of the book is about.
It's magic without the ritual.
Yeah.
And
You are
really,
the
magic is just teaching you, it's cementing stuff into your subconscious to allow you to believe that you can have. So it really is, it's teaching you outer intention.
100%.
It's just going through a process. And this is just like, well, I don't need the process. Like, I can do it another way, in a simpler way.
You can do it the way that suits you, right? Like you
Yeah.
can still follow a tradition and read this book and it still helps you. Any tradition, Christian, Muslim, doesn't matter. Hermetic magic. But then you can really start to understand, because the real fundamental point of this is that you are your own creator. You are the one at the helm of your life. You make your own credo and beliefs and view about the world, and it's up to you to choose what that is. And once you truly do choose, then reality meets you where you have chosen. So in a I guess in a distilled version, that's kind of the idea. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is one of the most magical and esoteric topics that's really embedded in all of this type of literature: the heart and mind, or the subconscious and the conscious mind. Before we get started, if I may, I'm going to do a little bit of promoting, because I am going to be at a couple of spots, and I would love to see some folks there. I'm going to be doing some comedy. I just actually came back from a show right now. I just did a spot, and went pretty well. It was fun. And let's see here. And I've got some more dates I'm going to be adding to this, but I'm going to be in several places. Dahlonega, Georgia this Friday. I'll be in Chattanooga, Tennessee coming up next week. Week after that, Boone, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, and then New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm going to be at the Eclipse at the Canyon thing in Utopia, Texas. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas. I'm going to be in Panama City, Florida. The Eclipse of the Canyon is Grimerica podcast run. A lot of really cool bands, as well as some comedians. Kind of like a rustic hangout for the Eclipse. Kind of a camp out sort of thing. And then in May, that's actually in April. And then in May, I'm going to be part of this excursion by Expanding Reality podcast, Brandon Thomas and et al., many friends, Chris Matthew, several other amazing people, Alexander Petikoff, and several other Bigfoot folks. We're befriending Bigfoot in the Northwest Georgia mountains. And it's truly beautiful there. There is a Bigfoot museum up there, and it'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to be doing a special presentation, and I'll have my good friend Lanny Farmer, who's absolutely hilarious, killer comedian, being a part of that as well. So we're going to be stopping through there. So I just want to,
well, if you're all are trekking to the mountains, make sure you bring like a whistle or something in case you get lost. So.
Yeah. Sasquatch rain whistle. You see all those people send me that shit all the time, like of them getting stalked by the Bigfoot. But yeah, I'm not the best, honestly, at self-promotion. I'm still learning this, but I am trying to put myself out there more. So I hope people can understand my awkwardness and also appreciate the fact that I'm at least trying. So self-promotion is really hard. I feel like a lot of people have a problem with that. But yeah, we all need to work on it. So I just really want to connect with people while we're out, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I love a road trip. Who doesn't love a great road trip? And super excited to really meet a lot of these people. I've met the Grimerica guys before, and they are just as good as they come. And I'm really excited to meet Brandon Thomas and the folks at Expanding Reality. That's going to be fun. I want to meet you. Hit me up if I'm coming through, if I'm coming by, if you're on the 10, we'll grab a coffee or whatever. Come watch me do some jokes if you want. Yeah. All right. So we can get back. I'm sorry. I feel bad. Like, why do I feel bad? Like, I feel like, you really just ruined the vibe, you know, like like a fucking conscientious objector at a sex party. What the fuck am I doing? Hey, no, I'm trying to get us back on track now, Abby.
Allow yourself to have, okay? You can have the moment of self-promotion. It's not a bad thing.
I guess that's true. I was excited about it. Going on, like I said, going on a road trip is always super duper fun. So yeah, that's the best part. All right. So
minus the bathroom breaks, because they're not always pleasant.
No, they're not. But I'm fortunate. I'm going to be going with
your guy.
Somebody, you know? Yeah. And I have a small bladder. I have to stop a lot. But like, that's what rest areas are for, you know?
I know. I'm just saying, like, I stopped at this one gas station in Texas, and it was the scariest shit I ever saw. It was like, totally reminded me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre shit. Like, there's this weird freaking door going outside with like multiple door handles, and I was like, what the fuck? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You should see some of these places that I do open mics at. You'd be mortified. It looks like a Saw movie set, you know, like a horror movie set. This one place that we do on Mondays, my God, like, it's crazy. You walk into the bathroom and you're like, I didn't realize I was at a place that had a glory hole. This is incredible, you know, like a gimp's just gonna come back. There's even like a locked room behind the bath. It's crazy in there. And yeah, pray for me on Monday nights, everybody.
You bet.
Last night I was doing this mic, and I'm just riffing about like small penises, of course. And I'm not, no metaphor here. Like, I was literally, and so I guess it's across the street from a strip club. So I guess one of the girls who was on her way into work heard me riffing about penises and walked into the bar and peeked her head in. And then I started just talking to her, and we had a little banter back and forth and started laughing or whatever. And then she left, and then she came back like right after my set and gave me some VIP passes to the strip club.
Nice.
Yeah. So we went and got a sandwich first, but you know, I had to say thanks, you know what I mean? So we went back.
Right. And I mean, that would just be rude.
That was my soulmate. That was my twin flame, actually, who walked in during that set. And yeah, you got to trust fate. You got to trust the flow of alternatives and read the signs and synchronicities. I'm always working anyway.
Like, I got your picture. I can't remember it. Jim Maria, count me in.
So random. It's so random, but I mean, that's the beauty of life. I thought of a quote the other day. I'm sure somebody's thought of this before, you know, but like Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage, you know? So I guess that makes it a play, and it's important to play. We have to remember to play, you know. What is that child in you? Getting back to the heart of mind. What's that? LARP? Yeah. LARP. Yeah. Stalk, right? Isn't that what stalking is?
Yeah, that's what stalking is. You even stalk yourself. That's pretending to be yourself in moments when you don't feel it, you know?
All the greatest actors play themselves. Vadim Zealand. Yeah. So, you know, that inner child, as we talk about like a heart and mind. So bringing it back, esoteric shit, it's all saying the same thing. You're two parts. You're polar. You are a heart and a mind. Let me see if I can pull up a little image here. And we've alluded to this a little bit, obviously, in the beginning of the show. Here, I'll put this up.
The heart is obviously relates to all things feelings, and that's everything: elation, openness, inspiration, aspiration, depression, oppression, all those. And then the mind is, you know, thoughts relate to the mind. So, but it's always under the power of pendulums and limiting perceptions, you know, limiting beliefs because of things that you've experienced in life.
Absolutely. You know, and so this is the distinction. So A lot of people are familiar with the idea of the tabula rasa or blank slate theory of human nature. So this was so cool about Vadim is he takes like these ideas that are very, common and well known, and he kind of puts a different spin on it. So like the idea of like people will just really strongly argue this point. Well, no, we're blank slates. We're totally, shaped. Is it nature or is it nurture? Well, I mean, come on, you dummy. It's both, right? And what he's saying is the heart is already has its own personality. It already has its own essence, let's call
The
it.
moment you're born.
Own expression. Exactly. It's like a drop of water or a snowflake that's just so unique, right? And so the heart is right is that nature. And then the nurture is the social constructs that we're born into. That's everything that the mind conforms to. Vadim says all problems come from the mind. None are born of the heart. The heart is what it is, and it deserves to be expressed. The more fully it's expressed and embraced by the mind, the more authentic you are, the more charm you have, the more radiant you are, the more you are using your own natural intention, and the more you are exuding your own specific shape of your soul, or your soul's frail, as he calls it in Reality Transurfing, to the world. So this
because
secret,
it gets into the beauty of it, like that, like what you're saying, that beauty isn't like a person is genuinely beautiful. It's not all on the outside, and it's not all on the inside. It's those people literally just have a good balance of heart and mind, and you can feel it. It's a essence.
yeah. One of my favorite examples is Chris Farley. Like not a physically in shape person, but like so charming and such a warm energy. People just
Very
loved him.
charismatic. Yeah.
Oh man, they just loved him. He was just being himself and being just like the most ridiculous. And that's what made him funny. It wasn't like he was such a great joke writer or something. He was just himself. Not to say he was a bad joke writer. I'm not trying to talk shit either. I'm just saying like it was his personality that really came through, that really made him as unique and lovable and likable as he was. It wasn't the mind. It wasn't the mind that made him charming. It was him allowing his heart to come through, his true expression. Very vulnerable. I'm going to put this up. Don't freak out. Nobody freak out. I just want to talk about, oh my God. I just want to talk about this particular symbol, which is really, I just pulled this up. Okay. The idea is this is 2 triangles. Okay. And this is really the key to every piece of esoteric literature. Transurfing is not excluded in this. But what we have here are 2 triangles, right? One pointing down. Probably a lot of people are familiar with this. I've talked about it a little bit. Other people have as well, quite a bit. But one pointing down and one pointing up. So the chalice and the phallus, the masculine and feminine. The subconscious mind is the heart, synonymous with the heart. And the conscious mind, synonymous with the mind. So we're like 90% subconscious. All the things that we do, and the subconscious can be trained too, by the way. So when I'm saying that when the heart comes into the world, it is perfect and it has its own shape, that is absolutely true. That does not mean, however, that it can't be trained and goaded and pushed into what he calls the box of the soul, through a lot of social conditioning, through a lot of self-talk that's negative, or ideas from the schooling system, etc. It can be changed, just because when it comes in, it's not static. You know what I'm saying? Like the heart comes in, it's its perfect expression. Most of us honestly never really embody, understand, or exude that essence. We don't know to look into our heart with our mind. Really the whole point of this chapter is to love your heart with all your mind. And the more that you love your heart with all your mind, the more you're really unifying these 2 poles of your consciousness, which is your heart, which we talked about before when I showed the Lover's card, your heart, the feminine, the subconscious mind, and then the masculine conscious mind. And when they come together in unison, that's what this symbol is designed to mean. So that's what we're really talking about. And I think what might be really helpful is to just try to define these aspects, and be able to try to differentiate them as much as possible, for ourselves, in ourselves, and with each other.
Because it directly relates to inner intention and outer intention, right? Your inner intention is mind, your outer intention is heart. And without outer intention, without the heart, you're not going to manifest things into your life. You're not going to pull into your life what your heart desires, because you can't convince the brain to allow you to have it. And you have to be able to do both. You have to have both. You have to have the intention or will of the consciousness, or the mind. And that's your mind is a product of society. That's what I thought was really interesting when he gets into delineating between consciousness or the mind and the subconscious or the heart. But he says that your consciousness is a product of society that comes from the concepts and definitions that surround us. So like a baby, you sit there and you talk to the baby, oh, that's a bird. That's the color white. That's the color red. And you're teaching it language. So language is like our consciousness is actually, we're not born with it. It's acquired through language. You're born as a subconscious, as your heart and soul. And that comes through immediately at birth. And it doesn't understand words. It doesn't have language, which is why dreams are weird, because dreams, like, it doesn't have language to speak to you. It has to use symbols, like in your dreams sometimes, if it's trying to let you know something. But this is where art comes from. And like when you're one with your heart, and I thought of Brittany Pickle Spears there because she's an artist, but when he defines art, and I liked it, he said it's the language of things created with love and passion. So that's what the heart understands. It understands art. It's the language of creation, really.
100%. Yeah, it is. What I saw a meme by Ramin Nazir the other day that said, "Language is not your first language."
It's not. I know, and that's really weird. Like that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a really good one. And yeah, so when we showed that Lover's card, let me show that again because it's really, really a great symbol. The heart. Let's see if I can find the best one. Yeah, that's the traditional one. So yeah. So the heart is connected to the space of variations. It is connected to the all that is, the mind of God, eternity, infinity, the film roll archive, whatever you want to try to conceptualize that as. And so it's keying off of that, right? Like the mind of God, the all, this crazy looking angel here. And that's what she is doing. She representing the heart, and then he representing the conscious mind, the subconscious. Oh, I'm doing my pointer on the screen here. Listen, she she is the subconscious heart. He is a conscious mind. He cannot directly communicate with the space of alternatives, God, the angel, okay? But he can hear the voice of the rustle of the morning stars from the heart. He can hear that and interpret that. So she has to get the message from the space of alternatives. He decodes her and basically, falls in love. Like, this is so beautiful. He falls in love with the feminine, the heart, the mind and heart. And she's connected to that all thing. So that puts us on, right? You would think like maybe that the masculine mind would be sort of in the lead, but really more of its duty is to kind of be like the co-pilot, the sort of navigator, interpreting the messages and deciding how to sort of track.
How we're going to get there. Yeah,
exactly. And so the heart is really what is important. Now the mind has will. And so it is able to, take action and do those types of things. But it's the heart that really shows us what it is that we want, that's connected to that space of alternatives.
Yeah, because he says the mind has will, but it's not able to rule outer intention, which is what you need to make things happen. But the heart can experience oneness with God or oneness with all with outer intention, and it can find exactly what it needs, but it has no will, so it still requires intention. So the mind is still important. You can't like remove that from the equation, because the heart might be able to dial in and figure out where it's at, but the intention has to get you there. The mind has to get you there. So,
and most of the times that's that mind that gets in our way, that makes us trip, because it's like the heart knows, and it's kind of like right connected to it, so it's pulling it to us, and we're trying to basically decipher what's going on. And so a lot of times I think we get kind of antsy and we overstep the process. We're not keying off of it. We're not in that flow of alternates. Instead, we're trying to, swim against the current to get somewhere. But it's like we have to learn to let our heart guide us. And the heart is the current, and then the conscious mind is the doggy paddling to get, oh, let's adjust to over here a little bit. Oh, keying off this, like, oh, what, paddle over there in that flow, so that you stay in the right spot and you can kind of read the river as you go down it, as opposed to it being, because the idea is to bring these two hemispheres or polarities, the heart and mind, into unity with one another. So, that's the true power of any magical tradition. Doesn't matter what it is. Hermeticism is no different. The thing about it is, with Hermeticism, you got to buy a cape and an altar box, and you got to go through these rituals and learn these particular methods, which are beautiful.
And it works.
Yeah, it does work, and it's a very I have a lot of respect for anybody who is on that path. It takes a lot of work. It's beautiful, and I respect it very much. But when I found transurfing, I was like, well, I'm just gonna.
This sounds so much better.
Because I was like, man, I'm gonna have to like wake up at 5 a.m. At the time I had a roommate. I'm like, I'm gonna have to sneak out and go to the woods to do these like incantations.
Yeah,
and stuff.
how am I gonna do this?
If he comes home and I'm like, Ariel, like he's calling the cops. You know what I'm saying? He's like, my fucking roommate's possessed. This is weird. I'm walking around the house with a cape on and no pants. He's like, what is going on, dude? Like, I was just trying to use my magic wand, bro. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, but yeah, like it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of energy and effort to do it. And so to kind of come into the transurfing world, understanding that we are the ritual and we define the ritual however it is that we choose. You can still do the esoteric magic. You can do chaos magic. You can do hermetic magic. You can do any of that kind of stuff. Even within the system is totally still complementary. It doesn't mean that if just because you retransfer and retransferring, you have to choose it over something else, whatever, blah, blah, blah. No, it's complementary. Like we said at the top. And
meme magic. And I feel like that goes hand in, like, thanks to Cheney and my girls, like I'm just learning about meme magic, but it's a real thing. It really works too. But I realize it's the whole concept of like the frame, which I don't know what week that is, but creating the frame.
The slides.
Yeah. Not slides, because the frame, it's like it's in the energy.
Okay.
Like one of the upcoming chapters.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, he says even in this chapter, like there's so much that can be said about this. I love this too. Becky says in the chat, anything can potentially work. 100%. Like 100%. What makes the ritual work is your faith in it, your belief in it. And really, fuck faith. We want evidence. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to see what can actually happen. And then that's way better than faith. Faith is great. I mean, it's powerful, sure, but it ain't nothing compared to the knowledge. And knowledge isn't confidence either, because we'll get into that down the road.
I like how Castaneda puts it though, because he Don Juan, in one of the Carlos Castaneda books, he talks about, because they're sorcerers, right? And he says, well, it doesn't take, so many people get caught up in the rituals. And he said, and that's not the wrong way to do it. He's like, but really, I just see it as morbidity. He's like, it really comes down to intention. I was like, oh, he said, I just skip all that. Some people prefer it, and that's fine. But
yeah, and it's totally up to you. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, that's great. I mean, those are sort of pendulums that are in existence, ideas, patterns, that egregores that can help you through this stuff, that that are archetypes, basically, that you can work through 100% if you choose.
Well, going back to your whole 6-pointed star with the as above so below, but like the whole idea is, this is your heart, this is the mind. You have to freaking shove it in there and freaking make the heart realize it can happen,
Yeah.
So like the whole like phallus and the chalice idea, it literally is. You have to freaking stuff it in the chalice to make the chalice realize that it can do
it. Yeah. I mean, they have different words for it in magic, but that is exactly what it is. It's like impressing upon the subconscious. And so let's talk a little bit about that, because I think differentiating those two things and kind of understanding, because I'm saying this from Vadim's work, your heart comes in, it has its own personality. And like you said, which I think is beautiful and brilliant, doesn't even speak language yet. Okay. So this part of you is completely raw and unadulterated. And also it has its own expression. It has its own essence. Right. And so then we come into the world and we start getting, our conscious mind starts developing, over time. I can go through all of this. I'm so nerdy about this shit with the 8-circuit model of consciousness, but we'll skip that for now. But then you start to sort of conform to the reality. Your mind does, right? You could have spoken any language. We happen to speak English, maybe other ones if you learn, but we learn these languages, and then we start to conform. The mind conforms to the social constructs, and then eventually starts to put the heart into those constructs over time, taking the lead, being that dominant masculine mind, and starts to form these limits on the heart that were not there when it was born into the world. It was raw, it was wild, it was, and then now the mind takes this wild animal heart spirit and tries to shove it in a cage in the zoo, over the course of your lifetime. So that is the beginning process. And what we're talking about from here is basically using slides to open up that cage door and allow your heart its expression again. And by using your mind and slowly shifting into the ability to open up and really connect with all this stuff, and start following that rustle of the morning stars, because the heart is what we're keying off of with the mind. It's been the other way around. We've been too far into our left brains. We've been shoved over here. I'm finishing it. Ham cow. Sheesh. Am I too windy? Basically, right? We've been shoved into our left brains our whole entire lives, and we have to open up our heart again. There's my story. I'm sticking to it. That wasn't for you. That was for him. That was for him. Okay.
It looked like you're flipping me off. So
no. I wasn't flipping you off. No. That was for Ham Cow.
Well, then cancel that.
All right. Copy that. Same. I'll even take my initial one back. It's
So, yeah. I had a lot I wanted to talk about, but
I just talked too much, and now you forgot it all.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, I think it's interesting to think about, like, what are the aspects of the heart, the characteristics of the heart, versus the aspects of the mind. How can we tell these two parts of our psyche?
Well, I don't know. The heart is obviously the feeling. It is the feeling. It's like he said, what would happen if you're, like an NDE, you have a near-death experience. Like when people have NDEs, like they go into this place where they feel total oneness. They don't feel separate from God usually, which is kind of the whole idea of the heart, is that the heart is the part that is connected to God still, or connected to source, whatever you want to call it. And we forget that because we are trained by the mind, by our conditioning, because of language, what's right, what's wrong, what to believe, the world is round, whatever, like we're taught how to interpret, and we're given these filters. You can think that you're a free thinker all you want, but most of your thinking is conditioned and it's patterned, and that's why AI is so able to predict, like, not even just what you've been talking about, but what you're thinking, and then we'll give you ads for that. It's because they figured you out. They figured out your conditioning and your programming. So it's like, it's not that hard to do, I don't think.
No, it's like he has already bought 7 pairs of Trump shoes. Let's give him some more ads for Trump shoes. You know what I'm saying?
But it's even stuff you don't like, because somebody said it the other day. They were like, oh my gosh, like, it didn't even, this isn't something I've ever looked up. It was just something I was going to research next. And all of a sudden that was the ad. And I was like, yeah, because it already knows. It knows you by your habits, by everything that you do. So it's able to see like your conditioning, your programming. So it's able to predictively program what you're going to want to look for next. And I think that that's the issue, is that we all like to believe in our uniqueness, but your uniqueness doesn't come from like your head and the way that you think. You're just regurgitating shit that other people think. Like I regurgitate shit people think all the time, like we are right now. Vadim Zeland's work, right? But the heart doesn't do that. The heart just feels and knows.
Right, it does. And we've trained so the complicated part to me is this. We've trained the heart into bad habits. We've created emotional states that we're addicted to by having our mind in too much control of our heart. And so there's these sort of programs that we've created ourselves that we need to open up and let go of, as well as listen to our heart. It's like a little bit of a double process.
And that's the problem, is that the mind is so involved with pendulums. And I mean, just about everything is a pendulum. Like we said, you can't avoid them. But the heart is, or the mind is so involved with it that it doesn't even really, like, in order to, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It's just, that's why it's not very effective. It's involved in all this other bullshit that's not outside of it. It's not a part of the oneness. Oh, we need to get into the ocean and the drop thing, which I know we've probably discussed it before, but it kind of is paramount to this whole idea, though.
I don't know if we have, actually. Let's do it.
So, he talks about the near-death experiences and oneness and what it means, and enlightened our Jesuses and Buddhas and stuff like that, or enlightened masters, what are we calling? I don't know.
Sure. Ascended masters.
Ascended masters. There we go. Thank you.
Whatever.
The enlightened people, right? They just realize their oneness, and not even just realize it, they know they can become one. And that's how they're able to perform miracles and ascend from this. But really, he said he uses the model of the ocean and the spray from the ocean, and that the ocean is God, and then the spray that goes up into the air while it's in the air forgets that it's a part of the ocean. It's literally, like, I see it as ego. It's the self, it's the I, and you realize, you feel like you're alone, and like you are the drop in the ocean. You are the little sprays, and some of you turn into snowflakes, and some of you get evaporated, and some of you just go right back into the ocean. But really, you're never not the ocean. You always are the ocean. You are God. And that's the heart's job, is to keep you realizing that. And that's really probably your whole purpose here, is to remember that you are the ocean.
Yeah, I think Rumi said, I love this quote so much. I overuse it probably, but I don't
Siri
care.
turned on.
Oh no. Trump shoes. Trump shoes. Trump shoes. No.
Could you hear that?
No, I couldn't hear it.
No.
I'm just trying to make it give you Trump shoes ads. Okay, so yeah, I was just gonna say that Rumi quote. Yeah, because he says, "You are not a drop in the ocean; you are the ocean in a drop," and that's so beautiful. But yeah, like the metaphor that Vadim uses is it's similar. It's that basically that we are in this incarnation a drop of water suspended from the ocean, so we're in the air. And so that's what gives us that shape of our soul, that frail. It's a unique, droplet that we are. And what happens with enlightenment is the drop realizes that it is the same as the ocean. So even though it's suspended in air, it's aware of the fact that it is an entire ocean, which is not the goal of transurfing, but it is a beautiful and apt metaphor, I would say.
And I think it's helpful for you to realize the value of the heart, and I'm going to pull us back around to dreaming just for a minute, because I mentioned it just a little bit ago, but the dream world, like, so many people want to interpret dreams literally, but there's no one right way to interpret dreams. Like, there's so many different things, there's so many different aspects, and but your dreaming self is more close to who you really are. So it's very telling of who your soul is, because that is your soul. Like, that is your subconscious, that is your heart. So when you're traveling through the dream world, you're mostly heart, unless you're lucid. So like the stuff that you do there, the way that you would react and stuff like that, that's all probably pretty genuine to your soul. And that's also why things are weird. Like, I do believe that in the memory palace idea of it all, and that's why sometimes a banana might not mean banana. It might be it'll be a memory that you just stored from the day that had some kind of association with the word banana, but your heart remembers the banana, so it's putting it there because it's all metaphor. Your heart knows metaphor because it's an artist. So a lot of dreams are metaphors, or it likes to do wordplay. So it sort of knows the language, but it's like it's going to tie it into a word that it already knows. So it'll sit there and like if you have a friend named Meadow, then it's going to be like, oh, like you see Meadow in a dream. The dream's not about Meadow. The dream is about like your day at the meadow or whatever. So it'll literally use word association like that too. So I just thought I'd bring that up because I think it's kind of the space of variations. The dream space is it is the alternative space. So it's relevant.
It is relevant, yeah, because like the heart is connected to all of it, right? Like all the languages, all the symbols, all the ideas. It's connected to all of it. It just can't.
The language of the world, according to the alchemist.
Yeah, yeah. So being that whole ocean in a drop, right? Like it literally can access anything and everything within that alternative space. That's where we're going at night whenever we're dreaming. It's crazy, right? Like the things that you conceptualize in dream are things that you are, I mean, technically still able to conceptualize in a waking dream, state too, right? Like, so why do we limit ourselves when we're awake so much?
So glad we tied it back around to this, because then he gets into why you cannot use the dream space, like while you're actively dreaming, to do slides. Because you could do a slide while you're dreaming if you're lucid, you could try it. But the reason why it won't manifest into reality is that the soul has the vision, right? It has the heart, it has the emotion, it has the address, but you don't have intention there. So you don't have the mind on the physical reality to make this happen, to make it happen in real life.
You can manifest it immediately in the dream space, though.
Yeah, right? You can manifest it there, but to pull it onto this side of reality from the dream space is very, very difficult, because he said it's like trying to row or trying to steer a paper boat.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, because I kind of misinterpreted that. I was like thinking about the I've heard people talk about astral magic and stuff like that and how powerful it is, and even dream magic. But that actually makes sense because he's speaking specifically about a slide too. Doesn't mean it doesn't sort of negate some of the other stuff. But fascinating. But I mean, we got to bring that stuff into reality anyway, right? It's like, what does he say? No one's ever actually brought something over from a dream or something like that.
Yep.
Other than an idea, right? And those ideas do carry over, but those capabilities and the capability to like dial into all of that, it's we're able to, is all I'm saying.
Dream hackers might have, though, because they claim to have done it in the Dream Searchers books. She said she took a pair of earrings and that she paid a price. Like she lost several pounds of body weight for it. I mean, she lost parts of her own physical body to bring back a physical object.
I believe that it's possible. I mean, just because Vadim says you can't do it doesn't mean I'm just going to be like, yeah, but you know, Vadim said you can't. So, I mean, maybe he tried it and couldn't figure it out, and somebody else might have. And I think there are some discrepancies between some of the ideas in Dream Searchers and a couple of the points in Transurfing. But the point is to explore the book anyway and not get like lost in nuance. This is how we create denominations of shit.
Actions. We're gonna be Baptists.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna call it First Baptist.
The lamest, but we're gonna eat a lot. We're gonna eat really good.
Join my cult.
Yeah. No, I mean, for sure. I would totally be into your cult. Sounds fun. You know, join a fun cult. If you're going to do it, just do it willingly, you know, like be aware that you're doing it. Don't be the one that gets sucked into the cult and doesn't realize it's a cult, you know, like that's the sad. My
cult women are going to be in charge though. Sorry.
If you're in a cult willingly, I mean, that's fun. That's just that is being in the play, right? Like that's just being a participant. I don't know. I think cults.
Maybe it's your goal on your door.
Exactly. Well, I think, you know, I don't know. I wanted to join this cult one time in Asheville.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Is this a joke or is this real?
No, it's not a joke. I did. It was called Zendik. 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 If Hamcow is still watching this, he'll remember.
Zendik, huh?
Yeah, Zendik. And
I don't think that was on purpose.
No, I don't know who named it that. It was like this dude, and it was up in Asheville, and they had a sticker that said "Stop bitching, start a revolution," and I loved that. It's still on my guitar case, but I did eventually cut that Zendik part off of it because I didn't want to advertise for the cult. But it seemed like a cool cult at first, and then you start reading the pamphlets, and you're like, okay. I also got recruited one time to join the Galactic Federation at a EDM rave by some dude who told me all about the DMT experiences that he had talking to aliens. So that was fun. I was like, dude, I'm just trying to brush my teeth. You know what I mean? Like I was literally waking up, and he's like, hey, let me tell you, buy my book. Anyway, I don't know why.
We just watched Midsummer on Netflix, and it was good.
I've never seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's very culty. It's good. I kind of liked it.
I'm sure it was probably pretty good. I haven't watched a lot of things. Eventually, I will start watching some more stuff. But there's a couple things that I want to see, and I would definitely.
Well, then I'll promote Netflix on.
Yeah, promote it right now. Promote it.
Secret Side of Good Guys is doing a movie on Sunday nights, so we sit and banter and watch it with our audience, and we call it Netflix because everyone's on the Nephilim kick right now.
Yeah, Nephilim. Well, you know, and so in the model of transurfing, the Nephilim or archons could easily be pendulums, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just as much. But that was that the Gnostic? Gnostic is the Nephilim, right?
No, it's in the Bible.
Okay.
It's the sons of God mated with the
Andy Ruse goes down this whole rabbit hole, and I tend to be on his page. I think he's got it pretty well licked. But that said, there's a lot of interesting things to think and speculate about. But anyway, yeah, Netflix and chill. Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, I got the dad bod, so I'm over here. I just Netflix and grill. You know what I'm saying? That's what but I want to check it out. It sounds really fun. What movie are y'all doing next?
I don't know. We just did Legend of Billie Jean last week, so
I don't know that one at all.
it was really good. You should watch it.
All this stuff to do now.
I know. Just join up Patreon and watch on Sundays with us, and then you'll never be behind.
Yeah. What time is it at?
Well, we go live on YouTube for about an hour. Last week we did for 2.5 hours, and then we usually start around, I want to say 9 Eastern time, and then
I have a show. Yeah, I have a show on Sundays. Unfortunately, but do y'all leave the replays up?
I don't know that actually.
Okay. All right.
That's
so if it's live, that's cool. Maybe I can just catch the replays if I get the Patreon. I'm sure that's probably the case. Cheney can hit us in the chat about that. Yeah. So that's very cool. I love that y'all are doing that. I know there's like a lot of really cool symbology and stuff, cool breakdowns. Who's on that show? It's you and Cheney and Godpill Angel.
Yep, Layla. Godpill
Awesome.
and Godpill Angel. And then last week we invited all our audience to just join the call because we had a lot of technical difficulties. So
that's fun.
It's fun.
That's awesome. Well, hell yeah. Well, we have covered this pretty well, and I am just thinking if there's any sort of last things we may have missed on the heart and mind that we could maybe touch on or just summarize, and we can put a bow on this show, or whatever.
One quote that I like that he said is that if I'm empty, there's nothing for pendulums to grasp onto. So empty of importance, really. And it's hard to be, but the more you work on it, the better that you get to reclaim that energy that a pendulum was still for you.
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated, like I said, but what I think is really useful here is the real power is being able to hear your own intuition, your own inner voice, the rustle of the morning stars that he's talking about. So, what can you do to create that space and start to understand the differentiation between your heart and your mind and be creative? And I would love to hear what you come up with. One of the things I do is morning pages. One of the things I do is meditation. One of the things I do is walking, and just being able to pay attention and listen. The kingdom of heaven could be likened to the heart. Heaven itself likened to the heart, and the mind of the earthly kingdom. So this stuff is literally everywhere when you start looking for it. I remember even like Mark Passio and all his presentations. He was the first one I ever saw do the Solomon star, sun and moon, masculine and feminine, heart and mind. He would talk about how we were in a world that was sacrificing the feminine, and the imagery was everywhere. Remember when ladies used to get tied up on railroad tracks during cartoons and stuff? Like he was using that as a particular example of the death of the feminine, the death of the mind, basically shoving the heart into the box, sacrificing the feminine. And I think that happens. It's really common in our culture. So, yeah. So, thinking about that, finding ways to find in yourself.
Your strength is in your feelings. And that's what sucks is I feel like as a 90s girl, like we were taught to be masculine women, and like in embracing masculinity, you stop listening to your heart. And that we always think that like to listen to our feelings and feel our feelings is weak, but your feelings are your strength and to feel them as strength, because it takes a strong person to allow themselves to feel something instead of just pushing it away for later. So like the more you allow yourself to do that, the more in tune you are with your own intuition, and your intuition is your heart. It's the rustle of the morning stars. It's your heart speaking to you.
And that's really that's the way to basically find your goal, which we're going to talk about next week, be able to pursue it, use all these tools that we've talked up to now and put them into practice in order to be able to start to really apply the stuff. This has all been a lot of theory, really kind of up until now. Slides, there's some techniques, but going from here, it's going to get a lot more practical. And yeah, I hope we've painted a decent background on this stuff, because it's kind of a lot to unpack, you know. Even us doing an hour on each chapter is less time than the actual book actually is, because the book's like even longer. Some of the chapters, like Heart and Mind, is 2 hours long. So, all right. So we're going to wrap this thing up. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the show and hanging out with us in the chat. You're amazing. Check out the Telegram, check out the Facebook, shoot a message, all that stuff. Links are in the notes. Check out Netflix and chill. Come see me. Much love. We'll see y'all soon.